It's the Groovecast podcast, a show about stuff like stupid jokes and Charlie folks and random ass topics with Case and Wes and special guests like Fred and Danny, Kyle, Riley, Len is there too. This is their theme song, it's pretty cool. Just don't ask Wes to sing the rest cause he'll forget the words, so sit right down and gather round, but not too close because they were so ugly that everyone died. Podcast. Well, let's just sit here.
Put your butt in the hole.
Hey kids, welcome to Groupcast.
Podcast.
We're live streaming.
I feel like I'm in the important chair.
Well,
like way over from everybody else, like I'm the host of the Tonight Show over here.
I'm off screen.
My guest here today is Amber. Amber, tell us about those stretchy pants.
They're stretchy,
Oh,
and they're
shit.
also pants.
All right.
that's
Sometimes.
fantastic.
Up next, we got the we got Muse coming up next.
And
stay
The
tuned.
Wall, making a special non-appearance.
Yeah. His brother is known as The Wall. I forget why. Why is that?
Because he was up against a wall while...
during the first live stream,
Yeah.
that's right.
Now
Yeah.
I'm up against the stairs.
Yep.
Now
you
you're
can
the
call me the
stairs.
stairs.
Now
So,
you're the stairs.
Constantly check and see if we have any views or not. Because I want to know.
That sounds so
love you.
sad.
It does sound sad, because at the moment I feel like...
Checking people are actually watching us.
Because I feel
Right
like
now, we're just having a weird conversation where we all face the same
where
way.
we're all talking to a laptop.
I'm talking to a ball.
It's
Well,
kind of
yeah.
It's kind of like having a conversation on a bus, where it's just everyone's looking forward.
Yeah.
I never said forward on a bus.
Yeah,
I
What?
can't. Like, my school bus, I used to always sit backwards, like cross-legged. leaning
How the
in.
fuck is that an option? What are
Well,
we talking about?
first of all, it's bad enough that they don't have seatbelts, and now... There we go. That's
All right.
that's a bit better.
So wait, there was a backward option on your bus?
No, I just made one.
So you were
Like
just
Chainsaw.
facing, like, away from the bus driver?
Yeah.
How?
Like, I would put my butt in the area that has no seat, and then I would put, like, cross-legged. I don't know how to do cross-legged with my fingers, but cross-legged.
like the
So this is my feet, right?
Cross-legged, like, against the wall.
Between the two rows of seats?
Yeah.
And you would cross your legs in such a way as to balance between them?
Yes.
Facing backward, like
Yes.
a yoga pose?
Yes, with my legs.
That's insane. Do you know how brutal your death would be if that guy got in an accident? You'd be split in half.
Well,
Okay,
So-
Shit.
so you are lucky to be alive then. Before
Again.
again.
yeah.
Amber is very fragile. We can tell you stories.
I feel like I should
before-
lean in too. Everyone else is leaning in. I'm going to
Before
lean in.
we-
I'm gonna lean on back.
Well, I like how
For
the live.
me.
I like how the live stream is over there, but
Yeah.
we're all huddled together next to this microphone like
Oh.
the fucking barbershop quartet.
Should I be acting like stage theater? Should I be looking forward?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't particularly matter. Hey,
If you're
so this is the 3rd anniversary of our lovely podcast.
and that's pretty cool. 3
Oh, is
years.
it?
3
Yep,
years.
that's what
Christ,
we're
you
doing
guys are throwing away your lives.
here. Yep.
Why would you do this?
I started this in high school. That
Really?
tells you that. Yep.
Oh, I didn't even think about that
I
shit.
was still in
Yeah.
high school.
Wow.
So that was a thing.
When I was in high school, I played sports.
Well, when I was in high school, I
Yeah,
was a
well, where that
fucking
fucking
nerd.
get it?
That's true. We're sitting on the same
Podcast.
couch, aren't we?
We can finally coexist.
We've got one view, and I think it's me.
All right.
That sounds right.
That's all right. When the audio one comes around, we'll get our usual numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
Those sweet
Usual
double
numbers,
digits.
5 to 10.
It's been slowly increasing over time.
Yeah, it'll do that. It-
About 5 to 10 per video.
Yeah.
well, that's per video.
Yeah.
You gotta count like Spreaker and shit too, you know, for like the overall.
That was for Dubstep Cookie.
What?
Dubstep Cookie.
Yeah, what about it?
5 to 10. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
that's
You're
that's
making
reference
reference to
to
one
our
of our
short.
videos that we did.
That
Okay.
you can watch right now.
Wait till we're done, then watch
Yeah.
it. It's actually not a bad video. We'll check it out when it's over. There's a live action short that we wrote and directed right here and
Yep.
shot. And I
pretty cool.
edited, and it was pretty good. It came out nicely.
Very room.
How's the next one coming along?
Slowly, very slowly.
Well, that's all right.
The live action footage is fucking huge, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's there were 5 scenes and like maybe 5 or 6 videos a scene from where we had to move the camera to something else or whatever. And each one of those clips takes like an hour to 2 hours to upload
That's insane.
into iMovie. so I can then edit them later. I've got one whole scene in there right now.
All right,
And
well,
that's
a
where
good start.
I am.
It's,
Yeah.
it's work in progress.
Yes.
So anyway, if you weren't aware, our normal host Wes is not here.
It's alright, we got a different Wes.
We have a different Wes.
Some would say a better Wes.
Wes
better
Williams,
Wes,
who
yeah.
insists on being only on podcasts that end in 6.
Really?
Because this is 116.
Yeah.
The last one he was on was 106, and the one before that was 96.
I finally completed the number of the devil.
I was just going to say, you know what that means? That means that Wes Williams likes the number 6.
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
He is the Satan.
so, I
I-
also... Oh, were you going to say anything?
I want to kick off a conversation.
Okay.
I know you have notes, but I think this is...
I want to start with, like, real quick. Just want to say...
Yo,
This
Wes,
isn't
go
amazing.
fuck yourself.
This is
Fuck
this is
yourself.
about other Wes.
Oh.
Wes is
He's dead now. He's
Wes,
dead now.
He's
well,
dead, yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
he's taking a brief hiatus from the show and will be back sometime. I don't know when.
I'd say it was maybe a month or so. Month or 2 months.
He doesn't even know, so.
Well,
Yeah, so
I'm saying it'll probably be a month or 2 months.
he'll
We'll
be,
take bets, payable to me.
There's a pool, $5.
he'll be
Yeah.
back eventually,
squares.
and until then, I'm the host, and you fuckers gotta deal with it.
You realize that you're practically, with Wes and his disappearance, you are practically the only starting member of
I'm the only one
He is
left.
the only starting
Yeah.
member left.
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
Which is why, yet last week's would have been a lot better because we would have had Wes and
We would
Brendan,
have.
who was on the first episode.
Oh, was he on the first one too?
Yep.
That's cool.
Was he on
So-
the dead first one or the regular first one?
Actual first one.
Okay.
Just like your dog, this podcast has been like hit by a proverbial truck, and it's just dragging its way on. Like Leonard Skinner's still a band, but it's just their like one-armed drummer now. Like everybody else is dead, but he's like, I'm still Skinnerd. And he's still playing like shitty like wing-eating contests
Everybody,
with like fake Skinnerd.
everybody got in a plane crash.
Yeah.
And it's just me now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you know what? Speaking of like fake Skinner, I saw this dumb fucking thing on TV the other day. I think it was the Meredith Vieira show or
Okay.
some shit like that, where what they were doing was they had these women on who were bitching about how they didn't like how their boyfriends and husbands looked.
Okay.
So their whole purpose on being on that show was that those husbands and boyfriends would come out, and then this gaggle of women would just like berate their looks for 5 minutes, and then
Whoa.
they'd send them back to get makeovers and come back out.
okay.
The one guy was in a Bon Jovi cover band.
Okay.
Like that was what he did. Like he was a Bon Jovi cover band, and they're like, we don't like that look that's going on. It's like, it's his fucking job to look like this.
Like
And they
if he-
sent him back, and he came back out looking different. It's like, well, now he's fucking Elton John.
Yeah.
honestly.
I
He's
wish he was a
fucking Elton
construction
John.
worker and he came out with like a protective helmet, and they're like, no.
That's gotta go.
This isn't going
Yeah,
to work. The next day
yeah.
he just gets caved in. Oh, he looked so good.
You'd be look so much better with a plastic bag over your
It's
head.
like, listen, this was functional for my job. This isn't something that I'm doing to look good.
Have you ever tried inserting nails into your eye sockets?
Oh my god. But isn't anybody here a fan of horror movies?
Kind of, yeah.
This
Very
ball looks like
yes,
the ball
okay.
from Phantasm. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
No.
So just
I'm gonna put in the links though.
there's a phenomenon that I want to talk about that I just started thinking, because I was just looking at this being like, this looks like the ball from Phantasm.
Uh-huh.
Just to give you, it's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, but like, there's this
weirder
weird,
than Mulholland Drive.
way weirder.
Okay.
Weirder than what's that movie called?
Birdemic.
Okay, you're done.
Shotgun
Move
Terror.
on.
No, it's the Pinata Survival Island.
Oh yeah.
It's about an interdimensional immortal old man,
Good stuff.
and
Okay.
he is trying to like make zombies or something on Earth, but you can potentially maybe defeat him by going in his castle. Okay, but in his castle,
Super Mario Brothers? What is this?
there's these silver balls that can do like a million different things, but they like float in the air. And he only says, by the way, only says one word ever, which is boy. And so, like, anytime anything happens, if you're like, we've got to kill the interdimensional old man, he just goes, boy! And the balls know what that type of boy means. Like, they listen to his inflection.
It's like Korean, where it's the different tones of how you say it.
Yes.
Different things.
Yes.
Chinese
And
ball.
the ball is like, sometimes like a drill bit will come out and it'll go in your forehead and like, spit your brains out the other side. Like, oh, God. And like, it'll do different things depending on how he says the word boy. But like it's just like a small part of the overall film. But the second movie, the second Phantasm's called "The Balls Are Back," and it's just all about the balls back. It's called Phantasm 2: Balls Are Back, and it's just way more balls. And I was thinking, like,
more balls, more action.
Like, it was obvious that, like, the test audiences for the first movie, they're like, what'd you take away from that? They're like, balls. Like, that was the first thing they thought of. And, like, there's a couple films and movies that did that. Like, the most obvious one is Family Matters, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, it was about, like, this family, and occasionally, like, the shitty neighbor would come in and be like, yeah! and, like, eventually it became just, like, the Urkel show.
Yeah.
But, like, I love this phenomenon of media starting in a place, and then everybody's just like, I like that one thing! And that just ruins everything original about it. And it just completely takes over the series. Like, can you think of anything else that would, like, fall in line with that? Where, like, everybody's just like, that one thing, that's what I'm taking from this.
Family Matters would have been my example.
I was going to say, like, every show on the Disney Channel where they decided... I think that the thing that people like most about our shows is, like, family who is really too loud and makes way too many, like, hip, popular references. Because that's all their shows are. Like,
well, yeah.
My niece and nephew were over here the last week, and they were watching the Disney Channel. I was like, all of these shows are exactly the same with different people.
Yeah. Sometimes they're not even different fucking people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just terrible.
And all of those kids are going to do drugs.
First they're going to get a singing career.
Oh, yeah.
Then they're going to do drugs.
Yeah.
It's a downward spiral.
Fucking Disney.
I like to see people fail that were once great because then they're accessible to me. Like, I feel like if I just saved a little bit of money, I could get the Bloodhound Gang to play at my birthday party. Like, tonight. Like, I could give them a call and be like, I've got $1,000 and you can have all the beer you can drink if you play in my basement. I feel like there's a 50% chance they might do it.
Bring the banana car.
Like, if they were performing at the state fair down the road and I was just like, want to do a gig, I feel like that's in the world of feasibility because they failed so much after that.
You know, I got a good example of that. If any of you guys remember I do this every time. Every time I try to think of a person's name, I can never remember it.
Okay.
The guy with the puppets who got...
Jeff Dunham?
Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
Jeff Dunham went to the York Fair recently.
Ugh.
A couple of years ago, I think.
That's where he belongs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because he just, like, took a nosedive about, I don't know, like 5 years ago. And is basically just, like, around now.
I would suck so many cocks to have his level of failure.
Yeah, I know.
He's filthy. He's a filthy rich failure.
Yeah.
Like, he is packing shitty comedy clubs coast to coast with his shitty, racist, misogynist puppet act.
Yeah.
And, like, what absurd deal with the devil did he make where he was like, I will do anything for comedy, and the devil was like, you fool, poof, you are now a racist puppeteer, and he just has to live this purgatory life where he's just like, women are dumb and have tits, right? Black people smell different, and he's just got to be this dumb, ignorant asshole every day for the rest of his life.
You wonder
but he's
why
filthy rich.
Yeah.
It's like, I can only wonder why his wife divorced him.
Aw, sorry, Jeff.
No.
I think there's nothing wrong with his failure because he has so much money now. Now that if he has the realization, like, oh, people don't find me funny anymore, and I'm not packing out these things, he can just go, well, I guess I'm just done then.
Yeah.
And can just go retire.
So the weird thing about
mansion.
Jeff Dunham was he disappeared for like a year and then came back, and then disappeared again and then came back.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, he is the comic that wouldn't die.
He's like a terrible magician.
Yeah.
I saw a really cool interview.
For my next trick, I'm more racist.
There's another puppet.
Today's secret ingredient is racism. So I'm gonna have this fried chicken, right? Oh, I'd love to see that, like a weird Iron Chef where the secret ingredient is racism. All the chefs have been given some menthol cigarettes. Alright, so I'm gonna make some, I don't know, what's a racist food?
Fried chicken's up there.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Okra.
Okra?
Okra?
Okra's a racist food?
Oh, yeah.
What's that even
Why?
mean?
What is okra? Because I thought that was a former talk show host.
Almost.
Yeah.
The only
Well,
thing
that's great.
Yeah.
My
Actually,
only
yeah.
frame of reference for okra is, I don't know if you guys remember this because you're all fucking nerds.
Yes.
But the Minnesota Vikings got caught having like an orgy on a boat.
Whoa.
Like a couple years ago. Like all of them. Like there was like 20 Minnesota Vikings. They all brought like 3 women and there was a gigantic orgy on like this party boat that they had. And like the paparazzi caught them and they were like, there's a lot of people fucking on this boat. And there's just like 50 naked people just having like a mass of people just pounding it out.
Yeah.
And like last year, like one of the players that retired, this big old offensive lineman, and like he had been caught on camera just like eating this chick's pussy. And they were like, so how's it feel to like know that you caught on video like going down on this girl? And his response, like, it's burned into my brain now, and it's the only way I want to describe it from now on. He's like, man, everybody likes to eat in an okra patch. And like that's
Oh my God.
That's all I can think now. And when anybody says okra, I think, man, everybody likes to eat an okra patch. Like, I don't even know if I've ever actually had real okra, but I love that
Now-
phrase.
Would you mind explaining why okra is racist?
That's the best response
After you're done
possible, I think.
Not knowing how to use your arms. Okay, we'll get back to that.
He's done. That's the rest. That's your next hour. It's just that position like that.
So, I have a great story of something that recently happened to my YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
You already heard this, so you don't have to break into whatever that was.
Song, freaking the song.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, my channel stuff, you probably wondered, recently just got a huge... What?
I had a penny and I lost it.
Well, that's a shame.
I had lottery tickets. I was going to scratch them during the podcast, and I have a penny because fuck, my fingernails bother me when I do that.
Well, you're gonna have to.
I
do
know it
now.
sucks. Your channel. I
Yeah,
didn't even notice this. I'm
my
usually
channel
watching
just
what your
recently
stuff
got
does.
a huge jump in views.
Really?
Like
Why is
over
that?
the course of like 5 days. Well, I will tell you
Well, thank you.
because it,
Well,
well, you
you
lost that one
dick.
too.
See, that's how it goes. There it is. I got it.
Here on Groove
What do you
Cast,
think
we
fucking
like
happened the first time?
we like to accomplish everything the right way the first time.
I got this shit.
So,
That's right.
while you go ahead and win the lottery, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Is it another truck? Come on.
Wes,
Go to the wall.
Go to the wall.
Go to the wall.
To the window.
To the wall.
Hey,
Till the truck smashes in your balls.
Hey, bro, alright.
God damn it.
Well, now we have a dog.
Ooh, room.
That's better. Hey.
I can move my butt
Hello,
muscles.
dog.
All right. Well, anyway,
Huge views.
yeah, I got a bunch of views over the course of 5 days,
All right.
and I wanted to figure out where they came from because
Yes.
it was like something like 30
To
a
which
day.
video?
The 13 video,
Oh, okay.
the one that already had a lot of views.
Yeah.
Suddenly got like 1,500 more views.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it went from I had like 30 views in one day,
Yeah.
and then it jumped up to like 500.
Oh, shit.
And then it jumped up even more, and then it dropped.
Okay.
And I was like, what? Where did that come
It went somewhere.
It went, it did go somewhere, and I'm about to tell you exactly where, because this was an odyssey of an adventure of a thing that happened. So, YouTube does this thing where you can look really, really super in depth to where you're getting views from.
And I'm always looking at those things.
Yeah, I just do it on a whim sometimes, because I hadn't checked my analytics in a couple days, and I looked at this and I was like, holy fuck, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And I looked and, like, it wasn't searched for. Like, it wasn't searched for on YouTube.
All right.
It had come from an external website. I looked for that website, and I found this website that was called Forbes, with a Z, DVD.com. ForbesDVD.com is the shadiest looking video sharing website you have ever seen. It looks like some dude in college just like tried to figure out how to make a website and only kind of knew what graphic design meant. And that dude was also black. Because all of the videos shared were like black dude videos. Like, you know the kinds I'm talking about. The ones that are like, this guy punches something.
Hold on now, we're reaching Jeff Dunham territory.
I know, I'm trying hard not to.
Use the dog as a puppet for this one. Just say your racist shit through him.
It's okay if you say it that way.
So I'm smacking a white bitch, right? That's awful, dog.
Why would you say such a thing? I just love how, so I went to this website and I was like, what is this place even?
Uh-huh.
It looked like the ghetto version of BuzzFeed.
Okay.
Like, you know how when you read an article and you scroll all the way down and it's all those videos that are like, you'll never guess what so-and-so did with this, or 39 reasons you should never do blah, blah, blah. It was like all videos like that.
Okay.
And so I went hunting for it because this was like over the Valentine's Day weekend. And I eventually got there and I found the 13 video nestled between... dude gets his arm bit off by a dog, and another dude doesn't get phased by the cops or something like that. And it's like
Very fitting.
and it just showed up there.
Is that a knife? Is that a knife? You have a knife?
At least it's not a truck.
This dog got hit by a truck, which is why he's all...
We've had to have said that at some point.
Maybe, I don't remember. But anyway, it went even further than that.
It's clearly the defining quality of that dog.
Yeah, because his head is full of rocks, and yeah. But yeah, it goes even further than that.
Okay.
I found out that in order to share videos on that website, you have to pay $250 to share that video to share a video on that website. Somebody paid $250 to share my video.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
I think Casey would have preferred if someone would have paid him $250.
Well, yeah.
It was the strangest adventure trying to figure out where all these views came from. And I've not seen the like since.
That is bizarre as
Yeah.
shit.
And if you want to tell me a thing about whatever, you can live tweet us on the show with the show.
Oh, yeah,
using the Twitter handle @GroupcastNation and the hashtag balls are back.
$3.
Yeah,
Nice.
you did it. First time I ever did scratch offs, I got them for my 18th birthday and I won $20.
Wow.
And I've never played since.
That's very impressive. For my birthday, which was like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
I got a couple and I won $9. So today I decided that's money I didn't have to start with. Let's just roll the dice on them again. So
Might
here
as well.
we are.
So you're in the negative $6.
I'm down $6, but I got 2 more to go here.
Fantastic. You can also talk to us on the Groupcast page, which I'm going to check now, and not expecting anything.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I don't think. If it's going to be someone, it's just going to be someone really close to you, like, you guys suck.
It's gonna be Joey.
It's not Kenzie. Kenzie's not watching at the moment, and I know that because Wes isn't on.
Is that the only reason why she watches?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
What a cunt.
There's
Oh.
also still one viewer, and it's me.
Yeah, hey, there you go. That's okay. This video will be on forever on our channel, and the actual episode will be on Spreaker.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
So, talking about niche markets, right?
Yes.
I came across something magical, you guys.
I'm buckling in already.
Buckling in?
Buckling.
Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
Oh, like you strapping in for adventure time.
The
All right.
roller coaster.
I like what you
Oh,
did. I did
that
like
was his.
that.
That's what he did too.
Oh, I didn't.
That's okay. He doesn't notice me. Go on.
I thought he was strapping ammunition
You don't have
to
stretchy
himself.
pants, you don't get noticed.
Okay.
It's true.
It's
I
very
can't
true.
win. I can't win.
I saw some dinosaur porn, and now just to clarify
That's some
this,
old footage.
All right.
That's old footage.
if you think that we've seen the same dinosaur porn, like if you think there's just one video of dinosaur porn, you're fucking naive. You're fucking naive, man. It's a genre. Okay? It'd be like, have you seen that pirate movie? Yeah, of course. Fuck you. There's lots of pirate movies.
Here's your
There's lots of
quarterback.
dinosaur porn. Bing. Call it.
Heads.
I couldn't tell it's a weird quarter. It's gone now. But it was magical insofar as the quarter's a lie. So it was 5 guys dressed as pterodactyls.
Okay.
And
I
it's-
thought you were talking like animated, like fur.
No,
talking in
no,
furry.
no.
Fur-
Let me paint you a vivid picture.
Oh, please
I
do.
got my brush. You go right.
Okay, so it's dudes that are naked, except they have cardboard wings, and they have like cardboard, 100% cardboard
Like
wings,
pizza box wings.
and like they have like these helmets that look like. Do you remember the video game MDK?
It says, yeah.
They have like gray MDK helmets, and then it's just like they've got gray paint on, But the most beautiful thing about it is the 5th pterodactyl, I swear to God this is true, just has a normal human belly. And, like, I think they ran out of paint. And so pterodactyl number 5 is naked but just has a pink human belly. And it's just like this lady unenthusiastically getting drilled doggy style by all of them, right? And she's like, not another pterodactyl! And then, like it's not a gangbang where they're all like, you're thinking, oh, she's got... No, it's one at a time while the others patiently wait and masturbate in the corner, waiting for their turn. And I'm like, that's their job! That's their job! And one... God bless those guys. God bless those guys, because someone had to have that phone call with them where they're like, you want to fuck some lady? Like, sure, why not? I'm a pornographer. I'm an adult star. Would you be willing to be a human pterodactyl? All right. I guess, and you have to wait.
Got nothing
What?
else going on.
And you show up and you have the costume like a Domino's pizza. It says Domino's on it.
The guy, with the last guy where they ran out of paint, had to be like, you guys are fucking unprofessional. You guys are put on the wings, Gary. It's all right, but I'm just saying. I'm not coming back for part 2. You don't have more fucking paint.
Balls are back.
The balls are back. Pterodactyl porn 2. Balls are back. Or was he just like a freelancer who decided to show up because he thought it'd be a good time, and that's why they ran out of paint? Or they'd be like,
There was
oh,
only
this
supposed
is...
to be 4.
Yeah, they're like,
There's
4
only 4.
pterodactyl guys, fine. But, like, to be the 5th pterodactyl man, I want to interview this guy so bad. I want to find pterodactyl porn man number 5 and be like, you had to watch 4 pterodactyl men go in front of you. Like, did it evolve your character? Did you take notes on how they did it? Because the first guy went all out for it, right? Because, like, this girl... They're obviously in a studio. It's like this house, right?
Yeah.
They, like, I think they had, like, a
It is this
potted
house.
plant. It was like a potted plant. They're like, she was like, it's the Neanderthal time. And this guy comes out and he's just like, Caw! And she's like, uh-oh, gonna get fucked now. And so she just gets down and she's like, I'm getting attacked. And he's just going, Caw! Caw! And number 5 is just in the corner, sitting like I am now. Just being like, alright, so Caw. That's the sound we're gonna make. We're all in agreement. That's the character direction we're going with, not a high-pitched screech. I wouldn't have gone with Caw, but I want to make sure this is consistent. Like, what kind of character notes was he taking at this time? Like, I have so many questions for the pterodactyl porn people. It was just magical to find it. It was magical.
So,
like, have you guys ever found just porn that you couldn't masturbate to, but just filled your heart full of, like, just magical excitement?
No.
I can't
No?
say I have, no.
Every now and then you run into something that is just beautiful, like
Right.
in a completely non-sexual way where you're like, I can't believe adults did this.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like a kid again. I only get giddy for weird porn and if I'm super drunk. Like those are like I can still achieve happiness, right?
Right.
Like I can be a happy person, but I only get giddy if I'm near blackout drunk where I'm like or if I see, like, weird porn, I'll call people into the room and be like, you're not going to believe this. And it's just all high fives. Like, there's this one cam girl. Are you familiar with cam girls where it's just people who do, like, this shit, but
Right,
they
yeah.
masturbate, pretty much. Not this girl. She
Yeah, that was
dresses...
last week's podcast, basically, those.
She dresses like Harley Quinn, right? Which, alright, hot. But, here's the fucking curve. Is she only has sex with a dummy that looks like Slappy from Goosebumps? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
And at first, it's rudimentary, right? Where she's like, I strapped a dildo to this thing. And you're like, that's kind of cool. But as the episodes progress, I've seen multiple. She rebuilt the dummy by hand and made a big
like an
wood
archive.
dick. And in the back, it has like a bulbous ball, like at the back of its ass. And when it's time for the money shot, she squeezes like a liquid pouch, and it comes blood, you guys. Every week she does this. It is insane, and I just watch it like an avant-garde art film.
Right.
Where
That's
she's
what I think in
Harley
that
Quinn
pterodactyl video
in
would be.
Goosebumps, having sex with Slappy the doll, who comes blood. And now they're married? Like, she had a storyline where they're married now?
Oh, storylines are the best.
Like, and she's getting filthy rich. Which I don't even think the pterodactyl people are, like, they're obviously poor. But she's
I don't know.
getting
I think
Maybe it
three
was
of them
just
are
like
dead now,
maybe it
honestly.
was like a really clever ploy to have like an Art Nouveau film, where it was just like, we only have a little bit of paint. We're just gonna do it with what we will, but it's gonna be fancy and artistic, and it's gonna mean something.
like,
You guys will see.
I can't believe
I have an art degree for a reason.
I haven't seen it, I've only heard about it. I don't think that's the case.
No.
guess.
I mean, like, these people 100% want to make people come.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite hobbies is not only finding weird porn, but periodically sending it at, like, noon to Lemaire Leeds. And just mortifying him. Like, there's a very specific genre of animated porn in Japan where women get turned into furniture.
What?
And, like, they'll have, like, multiple pussies, and they'll look like a chair or, like, a couch, and then, like, weird robots will fuck them and
I
stuff.
want to sit on this now.
And I just... Nothing makes me happier than finding the weirdest thing I can find and just sending it to Lemaire and then just knowing it hurts him. Like, knowing it hurts him down deep. Like, there's French porn where it's just women who sit on pies. And, like, I'll just send them, like, 5 in a row. Like, bam, 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 blueberry, cherry. Just, like, one by one. And he'll just be like, question mark, sad face. I'm like, fuck you, Lemaire.
You guys know what I like the most. Cake farts.
There you go. Yeah.
What's a cake fart?
Oh, you don't know what that is?
Is it, you just fart out a cake? Is it farting out cake parts?
Let me take you on a journey. So, Cake Farts is a video in which a girl completely naked has baked a cake and has sat it on the floor, and like the video opens and she goes, "You know what I love the most? Cake farts. Let's get this done."
Yeah.
And spends a good 5 minutes or so farting on a cake.
But you know what? I'm glad she found that in her life. Because I know a lot of people who never find their happiness. Like, they never find their joy. But you know what?
She does seem to enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do you know how much courage it takes to even try that the first time? Where the first time it happened, she had to have just been in a room, and her mom was like, "Happy birthday, sweetie!" And she's just looking at this cake like, you know? I bet I could fart in that. And, like, the thought probably, like, bounced around in there for a couple of years, right? Because you just don't go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, at some point she bought a cake and was just, like, had that internal dialogue in her own house, like... I mean, most
I'm missing
people would
something
eat this.
here. The parts are here.
I like to fart. I like cake. And like one day she just went for it and finally was like, "I'm gonna fart in this cake." And then the next step was, "I'm gonna make people watch me fart into this cake." She's so much braver than me. She's so much braver than me because if I
First
had
of all,
that,
she went through all of the effort to make an actual cake, and then just
Right.
go
Oh,
ahead
yeah.
and deface it.
Yeah, there was money put into that.
Do you know what the trick to farting is? And I listened to another podcast where they had on a fetish person who was into fart porn.
Dog,
Eating soap. They eat flakes of soap. They
Really?
eat flakes of soap. Soap apparently makes you fart like crazy.
It's interesting.
Well, I learned a thing today.
Yeah, my stomach hurts for no reason.
This whole
Did you eat
conversation,
soap?
I've been thinking
I did
about
not.
one of my
I promise.
favorite John Caparulo jokes. Have you ever listened to John Caparulo?
I don't believe so.
That man is fucking awesome. He's probably my favorite comic right now, honestly. But he's got this joke about, have you ever, like, it's exactly what you were talking about, where, like, have you ever been watching porn and then, like, one of the suggested things on the side is, like, this weirdest fucking thing that you would never think of in your life? Like, oh, could you watch this clown fuck a horse? And it's like, I would never watch a clown fuck a horse for porn, but there fucking is, so now I gotta see it, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's the kind of video you watch when you're done.
Yeah.
Where you finish and like you still have that tab open and you're like, well,
Let's see where this goes. Let's see where...
Do you watch porn, Amber? I feel like you're outside of this conversation a little bit.
What? Maybe.
Maybe.
What's
She abstains.
you abstain from porn, or
Do you
you
know
watch
the
it and
answer?
don't want to talk about
I know
it?
the answer.
She abstained from answering, I think.
So yes, the answer is
Yeah, the
yes.
answer
Because
is
if it was
yes.
no, it would be easy to just say no and then
Yeah.
just be like, time to move on with our
And you
lives.
could say no, but we know you're very bad at lying.
I'm not terrible at lying.
Except you
Aw.
absolutely are.
No, I'm not.
Because that happens. That happens every time.
Nothing
It
happens.
absolutely does.
Nothing happens.
God.
Like yesterday when we were at your house and Kevin was there and you were saying something
Oh yeah.
and he's just like, "What? What are you trying to say?" And you just start busting up laughing and you're like, "I'm not trying to say anything." And that was just one of the very many examples in which Amber can't lie because then she'll just start laughing.
I either laugh hysterically or I cry.
Also,
There's
that.
no in between. That's why I can't lie.
That's like you normally, though, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
That also.
Stop! That's not funny.
It's okay, he does it too.
Does he?
What's that one noise that when you make Amber makes the noise back? Just like, that's the
See,
one.
there. Well, there's actually a lot of that. And a lot of them,
yeah.
there's probably like a small margin of things that we've discovered, and there's an entire universe of other sounds that we have yet to discover.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of experimentation, really.
Yeah. It's hanging out with you is
finding
fun.
weird
It's
porn.
just fun.
Yeah.
Finding my noises is like finding weird porn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a whole universe out there.
It's like a 4-dimensional speak and spell. You know you can twist it, but you have no idea what it looks like or what's coming out.
I want a shirt of a 4-dimensional speak and spell.
That would be awesome.
The Amber says, it could be anything. It could be anything.
It's like, small spell.
Well, speaking of weird noises,
Go on.
my cousin friend and I like to go to Arby's for lunch. She's my cousin, but
That's too bad.
I didn't know her until this year. And now we're best friends, and she goes to my school. And on lunch break, we'll go to Arby's. And they always, when we go into the dine-in area, they'll ask for your name.
Yeah.
And I use my nickname, and they always spell it wrong, which makes me angry. But
What's your nickname?
Bo.
Alright.
Like, how do you screw that
I'd fuck
up?
that up.
I know.
It's
They
just
put-
wrong.
They
No,
put,
tell
like
me.
B.O.?
they
how
put
did
a W on it.
Oh.
You don't put a W
That's
in a
dumb.
name.
Yeah.
That's not unreasonable. It's not like they're putting a T
I
there.
They're not allowed to put W's in names, right? S?
What are you doing? Spelling it like it sounds? Ass.
Except I have a name tag that has in big letters my name
Yeah.
from school. So, but anyway, so I was saying to her how like I get mad that they mess up my name, so I might as well just give them a fake name that they can't spell. Like walk up and be like, "Yeah, can I have a name for that order?" Yeah, it's gonna be don't spell it wrong, and then just walk away. Because that's the kind of shit I come up with.
I'm sure they would totally be okay with that.
Especially
Just like mash the keyboard.
enter.
Nailed it. You got it later. Like, all right, you got it right.
Now, Wes, I want to know.
Remember this before I come back.
You've been with plenty of the women, right?
I don't know if plenty is the word I'd use. I'm familiar with women.
More
Do you
than zero.
happen to experience the phenomenon in which you discover your significant other's hairs in just the weirdest
In your
places?
pubes. In your pubes.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. but
Yeah, let's just go to where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's
We
not-
don't
that's-
have
That's
to
not
play
where
around.
I was going, though.
We don't
You
have
see-
where you're just taking a pee like 3 days after the last time you saw him, and you're like, "Whoop." Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, we're
see-
back alive.
no, it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Did you
Um,
see?
We're fairly certain that I have remote control hair now.
Remote
What?
control.
Yeah, remote control.
Go on.
Amber has been
Okay.
in.
Just gonna pass that one off.
Yeah, I guess so. In my dorm a couple times, and her hairs have been showing up in just the most bizarre places. And I can't quite explain
The butt.
how. You know, but I mean, like I'll find them in like a hoodie that I haven't worn in like days,
Okay.
or I'll find them in my shoe. Like, where do they? How do they get there? I found one wrapped around my shampoo bottle.
I don't have as
I think
much
she's
problem
planting them.
with like, yeah, the hairs as much as like the hair ties. I'll find that
Yeah?
shit months after a breakup.
Really?
It'll be like in a can of SpaghettiOs. It'll be in some place that it cannot have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just bought this today.
That's sort of the problem I've been having recently. Not to that degree, but I feel like it'll get there very soon.
It's
Right.
insane. Women mark their territory with hair ties.
Like, I'll be
have one
holding a
and it
pen and
stays
just
here.
like a hair will drag out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a good premise for something, I think.
Could be.
Marking their territory with hair ties. I like the sound of that.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like something that'll make you sad is finding like a condom wrapper months after you last had sex and being like, oh, it's like a graveyard. You're just remembering the ghost of a relationship and you just found like a limb. You're like, oh, I loved you.
I
Are you
mentioned.
guys dating? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know you. I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
remember. So I mentioned this to a guy at work, how my hair's just showing up random places. And he's dating a girl I work with as well. And he's just like, yeah, I found Tori's hair in my ball sack last week. And I was like, I did not need to know that about either of you.
That guy
And he
just
was
took it
like,
up to the
yo,
top.
if it was your ball sack, you'd brag about it too.
No, it's only fun if it makes a little noose and then you can like hang it. Like if you're like pissing during like your work break, you're like, today sucks, and then you find like a little cordy cord and you're like, never again, and you just act like you're hanging it real quick.
Like a committed murder.
Like I just lynched my penis.
It's got like a tiny suicide note right next to it.
I know what you did with me last night. No, I don't know. Like, is there any male equivalent of that? Because like men definitely get like the hair ties and like cute socks. I'll just find a fucking cute sock anywhere. Just one. Like I don't where the fuck. Like in my pillowcase, I found a sock with hearts on it the other day, and I was like, "There's a companion to this somewhere," and she couldn't have worn it home without the other one. I had so many questions. I just wore it.
It's just an implant. People
I just
put
wore
them
it.
there. Yeah.
Nail them to your wall so you'll never forget them.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know.
Plaque next to it.
Like, what would a guy leave at like your house? Like, what would be the male equivalent of that?
I don't know if there is one.
I
Or
think
there could be, I don't know.
everything I bring, I keep, because women aren't gross enough to like take your underwear and be like, "Guess what I did, ladies." Like, there's not that equivalent. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
you, like,
I don't think there is anything like that. Is there?
I
Not
worked
I'm
at a
aware
place
of.
where they passed around a top hat and filled it with money if I could bring them a girl's panties.
You got that money, right?
There's so much about that story
So
I
you
can't
did.
tell.
So you did.
There's so much about that story I can't tell.
Then why?
All right.
But it was just
Did you get
women
the
would
money?
never do that. Is my purpose. Like women would never be like, "You have sex with this guy and bring us his underwear, and we will give you a hat of money."
Yeah.
That's what lunatic men do.
Yeah.
There's no. I cannot imagine a scenario in which women are like, "Yeah, bring us some back hair to prove you fuck him, and we'll give you a
Like,
prize."
shave
Yeah,
it
you just
off.
like wake up. Like, what's the matter,
Stuff it
baby?
into a bag.
Yeah. What the fuck was that? Like, it just seems like women don't notch like the proverbial like headboard like that.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be as creepy.
I mean,
men are just fucking creepy.
I have a shit ton of exes
so
hoodies.
Yeah, but women steal hoodies
But I
nonstop.
steal them.
That's not like me leaving something. Like I have like one hoodie now. I've bought like 1 million hoodies in my life, and it's just like Johnny Appleseed of hoodies. Just left them all across the world, wherever I've been. Hoodies, umbrellas, and watches. Like those are things that I just my brain never remembers. It can be like negative 20 degrees outside and be like, "Later, dudes," and I'm just everything that keeps me warm I leave. Like, and it doesn't help that I drink all the time.
Yeah, that'll keep you warm too.
Yeah, like I'm just like, "Oh, I'm fine," and then hoodies are gone forever. And like I have friends' hoodies. Like I have hoodies, and this is how weird it is. Is like I have a hoodie that I found from one of my friends in high school, and it's his like football hoodie. So it's got his name and number on it. I'm just walking around like, and then people are like, "Hey, Darren." I'm like, "No, this is my friend Darren's hoodie. Go number 57." And they're like, "Oh, that's weird." I'm like,
Those two are banging.
yeah, like.
Where else would he leave his hoodie in his place?
Oh, and like that's a funny thing for me about going home is like I'm the gayest person that my hometown has ever produced, and I'm not for our faithful no listeners. I'm not a. I don't
Yeah, I
identify.
just checked no tweets.
I don't identify as a homosexual, but I'm by far the gayest person that has ever
One
come out
of
of
my
my hometown.
favorite things that you've ever said was, I think it was on the podcast, where Erica was talking, you were talking about Erica seeing dicks, and you said, "Erica, how many dicks have you seen?" And she's like, "Well," and he's like, and you go, say something like,
"Oh,
sweetie, I've seen like more dicks today."
Yeah, I see a handsome amount of dicks, and it's just like, what? Who fucking cares? I've got one, you've got one. Like, I don't want you to fuck me with it, but it's just a piece of meat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit.
This is delving into D Club territory.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like he has the high score on meatspin.com.
there's a game I can play.
No.
What's the game? Is it just me swinging my dick? Because I do that.
It's a game where everyone loses.
Their dignity.
Yeah, their dignity. I regret everything.
But I'm playing this fun game online right now where I post really stupid positive things, and then I look at who likes it, and I can always tell who's sincerely thinking I'm being sincere,
I bet
and
they're all white
people who
girls.
thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Like all my comic friends are like, "Ha, life sucks though, right?" And then like everybody from my hometown is too dumb for like not things being taken like literal, and so they're all like, life is pretty great. And, like, it's like sincere, and I'm like, oh, they're like from 30
They just
years
don't
ago.
understand.
They like anybody who stayed in my hometown, like,
Which is where?
it's in like Blair County. It's like in the middle of nowhere.
I don't even know what
So
Blair
it's
County
here.
is.
There's like a couple. Well, I don't live here either.
I'm from
Fucker.
Lancaster.
I don't know. It's even Harrisburg's the middle of nowhere, really.
Yeah.
I just keep going to
I feel
less
like,
of nowhere.
I feel like it's the tiny runt of all the capital cities. Because it's like you
Guys in the
All right.
capital too.
you got like it's like you go across one of the bridges that goes like you see Harrisburg and you see it's like there's a bunch of skyscrapers or whatever you want to call them. And you're like, oh, that looks like pretty substantial. But then you think, oh, that's really just all it is.
Like,
It's like
yeah.
it's like four
That's like
blocks.
2
It's like
blocks.
it's like 4 blocks of really big buildings and then suburbs.
Yeah.
like that's all it is.
If you want to get down to it, there's really only like 5 places that matter in America.
Yeah.
Like really, you could like if Harrisburg disappeared tomorrow, like
Yeah.
people would be sad,
Yeah.
but
Just
not
afraid
that
there.
long.
No,
Like
yeah.
life would move on. Like if New York disappeared tomorrow,
Yeah.
the fucking world would stop.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like there's like 5 places that matter, but really nothing that happens here matters.
No.
Not one fucking bit. Like you have like New York, Chicago, LA.
Miami.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably not.
They're going to be underwater
Maybe.
in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like really, like even
Would you
5
count?
maybe.
Would you
pushing it.
count Philadelphia?
No, of course not.
No?
Nothing in Pennsylvania matters. Nothing in
that's
Pennsylvania matters. Go to Oregon and see if they know anything about Pennsylvania. Like they're gonna be like maybe Amish, and like they that's
Yeah,
it.
it's like when you see people from like Europe draw like write out the names of states on a map, and it's like I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. This is Texas. This is New York. This is California. I don't fucking know what the rest of it is.
All right, so like there's a couple things when you say like important cities, like let's get rid of some like common misconceptions. 1, there's a ton of people where I live. That makes it matter. Sorry, Boise. No one gives a fuck. All right, like 2, oh, we used to be important. Sorry, Boston. No one gives a shit.
Sorry,
right?
Gettysburg.
Sorry, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could be gone
Gettysburg is
tomorrow.
so self-important about that sort of thing.
I hate
Yeah.
Oh, hey, guess what? 150 years since the battle, people died. Isn't that
There's-
great, you guys? Come buy our shirts.
If you major in history at the University of Gettysburg, you should die. You should
Yeah.
die in a car accident.
Yeah.
Like,
Twice.
I really...
Twice.
The most smug, condescending, self-important people are history majors from Gettysburg. I hate every last one of them. And let me expand that.
Go
If
for it.
you major in the liberal arts in a private university, you should probably catch fire.
Because what are you going to do with that?
No, what they're going to do with it is make way more money than you. Like, if
Yeah.
you go to Davidson and you major in some shitty liberal art, like, you're connected enough to have gone to Davidson.
Yeah.
Which means that you're connected enough to get a good job. Which
Right.
means you're connected enough to not have to try that much at your shitty little private school. And there's no bragging that's worse than private school bragging, where it's like, well, I went to... And, like, some people are like, Juniata.
With their lower...
People
with their
from
lower jaws, like,
Juniata
I
have
just
the
hear-
gall to be proud. You know what I mean? Like, they have bumper stickers. They're not ashamed of it. They paid $40,000 a year to go to Juniata.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most shameful... Like, I don't know. That's like being really proud of being great at Pikmin or something. Where it's like some childish, buffoonish, like, off-branch of something
People
that
who
might be
speed
good.
run.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
what you do doesn't matter. Like, if you go 10 miles outside of your shitty little private campus, no one's ever heard of you, but they have the gall to be like, oh, did you go to a state university? Well, I actually went to Gettysburg. And you're like, fucking just impale
As they
yourself.
throw up stuff.
Gettysburg. Yeah, and you can tell that they've just completely drank the Kool-Aid about it.
Right.
And, like, it's like, well, only 2,000 people. Like, you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You go to a garbage school where... And it was like, oh, I've got professors from Harvard. Like, anywhere can get professors from Harvard because, you know what? No one hires professors.
Yeah.
Every good professor fucking teaches till they're 100 years old. And so, like, you can go to any garbage school and find good professors.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hidden trick to today's world, I really think, is, like, almost any university you go to, if you plan well and find what professors are, like, really, like, well-renowned there,
Yeah.
you can get an exemplary education
Absolutely.
from almost any university you go to these days, and you see these smug fucking cunts. Like, what would be, like, another shitty little university that people are... like Lebanon Valley or something. Like, are you serious? Where they're like, well, actually, like, no, I've been there, and you go to a strip mall. Your fucking college is a strip mall, and not even a good one. It doesn't even have, like, heat.
Lebanon has two things. It has the Ren Fair and Lebanon.
Oh my god.
That's about it, yeah.
What?
Bologna.
I mean, that's more like a product rather than a place.
All right.
I wouldn't.
Let's go to Bologna. That'd be great.
I went to Bologna on this.
Basically.
Excuse me, it's Bologna. As I receded in my own face.
Like, one of the smartest women I ever met. She like runs her own company now. She wanted to get into the jewelry business, and there was this one company over in like England that she wanted to be a part of. So she just called him up one day and was like, "Hey," she was like a senior in high school, and she said, "I'm about to go into university. I want to one day work for you. Here's the deal. I will send you all potential classes I could take. You make my schedule for the next 4 years, and I'll do whatever it takes to work for you." And they picked the classes that they wanted her to take, and as soon as she graduated, she went over there. She's like running the fucking place now. She's like 25.
That's very
amazing.
impressive.
Yes, but it's fucking smart.
Yeah.
Like to have
Oh,
that foresight to be
actually,
like, you show me what you want to do, and I'll do it. Like I won't take any class that you don't think
You have
is
to be
valuable.
very sure of what you want to do that.
Yeah.
She wanted to
yeah,
be an
people,
alchemist,
yeah.
which is kind of weird.
A what?
Like an alchemist.
Oh.
Like she was entranced by the idea of, like, you know, alchemy is obviously not real, but
Yeah.
like just
Or
like,
is it?
just all that weird shit. She was a very weird girl. She ended up being like a model too. Like,
Really?
yeah, and like it's even more impressive because she's not traditionally beautiful, but she's like that kind of beautiful that you get from being like Scandinavian, where you have all those weird fucking angles and shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
boxy octagon face, and
Like bad polygon count.
yeah, and it's all just fucking twisty and sharp, and you look like metal that's been through a storm. Like, you know what I mean? Like the hull of a ship that's been torn
You
out.
basically
just-
look like Laura Croft from the like original.
yeah,
Tomb Raider.
you're polygonal. Is that
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for?
I
That's
believe
about
so,
right.
yeah.
She looks very polygonal, and she's brilliant, and she does supermodel work, and she makes jewelry, and she's so much more successful than I'll ever be. And like, I don't know, like I don't have the foresight for that kind of success.
I don't either.
Like I just try things, and if it works out, it works out. Like
Yeah.
Maybe you should try
that's
being
what
a
I do.
pterodactyl.
That worked out for at least 5 guys.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Oh, and
It
That's
can't,
a 4.
there can't be
Yeah,
much of a
we're on
barrier to
4.
entry.
Yeah,
I-
the fifth guy was just sort of there.
Yeah.
now we're comedians together, you and I, Lennon.
Yes.
And we see a lot of funny stuff. The
Yeah.
hardest I've laughed in the last month of my life, #weird porn, was this video. It was an amateur video, and it wasn't supposed to be weird. It was a man, his wife, and his buddy, and they were just double teaming his wife. And you think it's going to be a very straightforward video, right? And what happens is like they're giving her the old Eiffel Tower, right?
Right.
Okay.
And his friend is just walloping this guy's wife, right? Just destroying her.
Someone had some inner feelings.
And, like, the husband is kneeling in front, and she's taking care of him, like, you know,
Yeah.
blowing him. And then something amazing happens. And you can only see this in amateur porn where it's like one take and you gotta get it. He gets a cramp. Right? So he's like, oh, that feels good. And he, like, rolls off. He's like, right? And so his wife's watching this happen. He, like, rolls off the hotel bed. He's like, boom. And he falls off. He's like, oh, Jesus, this is a bad one. And she's, like, looking at him. His friend isn't stopping, right? He's still, like, just as hard as he can, like, in his own world, sweating and all red, like, bleh, bleh. But the wife's not reacting to the sex anymore, right? She's like, sweetie, are you okay? He's like, oh, God, this is a bad one. And they start having a normal husband and wife conversation where she's like, I told you to eat more bananas. He's like, I need more potassium, Christ. And they're just having the most normal husband and wife conversation while this guy just thwacks her as hard as he can.
I wish
And it
I
was the
could
most
do
beautiful, surreal thing I've ever
That
seen.
is a magical comedy moment.
How do you find these things? They just happen upon
What
them?
do you search?
Well, like, it was literally just
Sex
like...
cramp.
Sex cramp.
Well, a
It's
lot of
named
it...
band.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes from, like, Twitter, because, like, I'm not the only person who finds porn funny.
Right.
And so, like, I follow certain accounts with, like, you've got to see this. And I'm like, yes, I do. And then, like, I watch it, and I'm like, this is the greatest. And then some of it's just fucking, like, if you go to, like, a site like X Hamster where it's amateur stuff, amateurs do weird shit all the time. You'll eventually find something funny.
Right.
Even if you're just like, I like big titties, it's going to be like, well, guess what you're getting? And you're going to be like, this is insane. Like, and the trick is, like, that I've learned is, like, one, like, I legitimately don't watch porn for, like, to come anymore. Like, I haven't in probably a year. Like, I don't. I
was expecting 2 days.
like, because...
before I got here.
I watch it solely for comedy, and I don't like to watch porn. I don't, because I think that your brain can get hardwired to want that sexually, and, like, porn sex kind of fucking sucks. Like, that was something that, like, I learned early on is, like, and I don't want to, I think this is going to hump back, Brendan Crick had something very similar to this, but basically, like, the dumbest mistake you make when you become a sexually active person is trying to do porn sex, and porn sex fucking sucks. Like, you shouldn't learn how to do it that way.
Yeah, that's somebody's joke. I don't remember who.
But, like, Brendan Crick had his thing about, like, you don't want to, like, slap your dick, like, like, you know what I mean? Which, it's just, like...
Is that what the sound it makes?
It sounds like Pac-Man eating dots.
If you happen to find someone who does that, you need to run.
Yeah.
You need to oil it or something.
I don't know. Like, sex should be organic and fun and, like, funny sometimes, where you just, like, kind of, like, laugh at each other. Like,
Right.
It should be warm, but you never
I feel
get
like
that.
you just thought of something.
Oh, yeah.
I just listened to a podcast.
Are you willing to share?
I could, but I have a feeling someone who's not here would be angry.
I was
Tell it right. No one is listening to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time that other Wes and I were ever together like that, we had some issues at the beginning where we couldn't get started. And once he did, I wasn't ready. And he just starts going, and he's like, how's that feel? And I was like, I don't know. And we laughed in each other's faces for 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Rolling into a ghost town. No one likes that feeling. No one likes when that happens.
That was a perfect analogy.
That's
great.
I'm willing to bet he was only laughing externally.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah,
that's terrible.
That's
That
terrible.
was so terrible.
That's
Okay,
terrible.
Charles.
Wes is never going to come back now.
No, he's gone. He's gone forever. He's
All
gonna
right,
ride
cool.
off into the sunset.
Rip in pieces.
You don't mind if I get another soda? I'm a parched.
Go for it.
I'm a parched. I don't know why it came out that way.
Thanks, Mario. Go ahead.
Boop, boop. Ginger ale. Where is the fridge that has the ginger ale?
Do the
garage.
door and then the other door.
Take a left.
No, you're already too
You're
far.
already
You're
too
already
far.
too
A
far.
lot of people were saying shit to me.
It's like when you're on The
Find a
Price is
door,
Right
find
and you
a
have to
Gun?
bid on
Is it
something.
by the fucking gun?
Find a door.
It's by the gun.
Oh my god.
Find a fridge.
It's exactly like on The Price is Right when you have to bid on something, but everyone, like the crowd's like $4.50, and then there's somebody who's like $1,025. And
Two!
You have to listen to like 400 people yelling at you, and like, oh fucking no.
One of my friends in high school, his mom went on The Price is Right, and he told us how they do screening beforehand.
Yeah.
And basically, you just scream for a half hour.
What?
Because, like, he told us, like, there's a line of people who, like, get into who, like, go into the audience and, like, they screen people
Yeah.
to make sure, like, are you crazy enough to be on the show? And they basically...
You might be crazy, but are you Price is Right
They
crazy?
put you in a room and they say, how excited are you for the show? And you basically just go crazy.
God.
And if they think you're good enough, they'll put you in the audience.
Okay, that's
And
good
she
to know.
won a toaster.
That's good.
It was a very bizarre looking toaster. It was like the back was higher than the front. It was weird.
We don't have a toaster at my house. We
That's
only
bizarre.
have a toaster oven, which is not the same thing at all.
No, but if
Like when
can
you
make it
toast
work-
bread, one side gets, toasted, and the other side gets mushy.
That
Well,
sounds
that's why you
faulty.
don't. That's why
What?
you use that.
That doesn't sound right.
Mush. Like less bread than the bread was before it tried to toast.
Less bread than the bread was before.
That needs to go on a t-shirt.
Less bread than the bread was before. That sounds like a weird Rob Zombie song. More human than human. Less bread than
Redmond.
bread was.
Can't even cough. I'm laughing.
Oh God.
There it is.
Hey,
And
Mazel
we're back.
tov.
Cool. Let's talk about something intelligent for a minute. Not that our stuff wasn't before, but let's get into
veer
this.
off the porn topic.
Let's get
Yeah, we
into
talked about
something.
weird porn for like an hour.
By the way, this episode is officially going to be titled "The Balls Are Back."
Yes, it is. I've already decided
For
that.
sure.
Woo!
I think
So-
it should be called "The Balls Are Back" #weird porn.
There you go.
That's the entire.
I don't think that would
that's the
fit,
entire-
but alright.
Yeah, that's way too much. That's like 5 characters to we shortened it up a little.
For whatever reason, Spreaker does not like having long titles for things.
Oh yeah.
That's just why I've
I
had to...
fucking hate when I'm titling something and YouTube's like, that's a shitty title. You might want to fix that.
Does
No,
it really do that?
if your title is pretty long, they're like, this you probably shouldn't do this.
Never had
It's like,
that
I know what
problem.
I'm doing. Fucking YouTube, get off my fucking back. In a move that everyone hoped for, but I think few saw coming, net neutrality
Yeah, I heard
won
about
its
that.
deal that it had to go through.
Yep. 3-2, I think.
Yes, it was 3-2.
Now we just have to wait for next month when they do it again.
Yeah,
Because
so
that's how... I don't understand that. Like, why does that need to be an issue? Because of piracy?
what exactly? Would be
Why
the issue?
why does there need to be a debate over whether net neutrality should be a thing or not?
Oh, it's totally because network providers like Verizon
Yeah,
and AT&T and
Comcast.
shit like that. Yeah, what they want to do is that they want to split. They want to give you different options of how much to pay for internet,
Right.
and the less you pay, the less things that you can have, like less sites you'll have
Yeah,
access to.
which is shit.
Well, that's what the whole thing was. Like,
Right.
we want to be able to do this, and basically the whole internet said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, as they should. Because
Yeah.
the last time this happened with SOPA,
Yeah,
do you remember when Wikipedia blacked out their site?
yeah.
Because that was pretty cool when that happened.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Google did the same thing.
They might have. Yeah.
Sopa means loser in Swedish.
Well, there you go.
According
The more
to
you know.
Slut means sold out in Swedish.
Let's get back on the topic at hand, shall
He
we?
said the word Swedish and I thought of things. Like fish.
Like massages.
Stop taking my thoughts.
Swedish fish are amazing. Anyway.
More like the Swedish balls are back. What?
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Womp, womp, womp. Yep.
The balls are back.
But balls.
But it's a...
But net neutrality, you guys.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's something semi-intelligent.
This real topic. Thanks. So basically, in order for this for the internet to remain as is currently,
Right.
the thing that had to happen was that the FCC had to say this is a utility. Like, internet is a utility, and the biggest opposition for net neutrality, which I think is, I have a hard time listening to these people.
Okay.
Honestly, it's that now the government's in control of the internet and they can do whatever they want.
No, they're not.
They're not.
They're not.
But they
You can't control the
are.
internet. You
But
Can't
they're
control
not.
the
Like,
internet.
they-
The internet controls you.
The
They
internet.
now have.
Are you shaving?
He's shaving with a plastic knife. It's working wonders.
Shark's eyes are like doll's eyes. Black. And they don't blink until you're in the mouth. I don't know if that's the last line of that.
Is that Sling Blade?
No, it's Jaws.
Okay.
Jaws.
That's not-
Come
How do you
on.
spell that?
Jaws.
Yeah.
Jay-Z of
Jaahhhz's.
Thanks, Bill Cosby.
Jaws.
The jazz! You see the jaws!
Yeah.
Like the
Smile, you son of a bitch.
He's so happy right now. Everybody forgot about him.
You see, the shark's eyes is like the doll's eyes.
Like,
Here's
here's...
Wes isn't even not here.
Yeah.
I had someone say this to me once, and I can't get out of my head, and I don't think it's very funny, but it's so fucking true. We were talking about rape, but we were talking about Bill Cosby, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a real bummer." And I was like, "It's a crazy big bummer."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Consensual sex is like a new thing." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "If you look at the history of man, 99% of the sex that's ever been had, only one person wanted."
Yeah.
Like, if you look at men, animals, anybody, you really don't get to, super consensual sex until, modern tools.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
man, as we know, it's been around for like 10,000 years. Like, one dude was like, maybe she actually likes it like 1,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, this is new shit.
Yeah.
Now, that
I
obviously, I'm not
considered
trying to make any case for like, oh, well, history's... Like, I'm just saying, like, it's dark when you think about how far we've gotten as far as, like, even the idea of romance is like 200 years old.
Not even. I don't even think that. It's gotta be
It's-
like.
I don't even know where to...
Like, you
Start
have
looking for that.
some early beginnings of it, and like with certain like strains of nobility, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of like, because when you're talking about like women in property and stuff, like when you finally had women who are rich enough to not be equated with property, you start having like personhood.
Yeah.
And when you have personhood, you are able to own your own feelings.
And that was definitely sometime, at least, no, actually, probably around 100 years ago. I'm about to drop some knowledge on you people.
Oh.
So there's this.
Is this something I have
There's
probably
just-
You
wondered?
get a hard hat. A hard hat. A hard hat. Oh, I quit.
A herd hat.
Never mind.
There's this
I
short
retract.
story. There's a short story called "The Yellow Wallpaper," and it. Yeah, I know you would know. It is a story about basically a woman has some sort of depression after she gave birth. So she's like,
postpartum depression.
mental. Yes, that one. I forgot what it was called.
So one of them,
Yeah.
she got the Jello depression.
Yeah, so she's all depressed and her brain is messed up.
That's what happened after Bill Cosby.
This was like right at the turn of the century, so
Yes, right, with Bill Cosby.
with Bill Cosby, and he's about that.
That's what happened to Amelia Earhart. She fought too hard.
Like the idea at the time was because women's brains are smaller, they're more susceptible to like mental issues, and like the modern psychology hadn't come in yet. So basically, this woman had depression, and so the husband's like, "Well, we're just gonna put you in a room, and you're just gonna hang out there and just rest, because that's really what you need. You don't need like comfort or friends or anything. You just need to be put in this room."
Right.
And the entire story is her, like, from her point of view, gazing into this hideous wallpaper that has no pattern whatsoever to it, and eventually she just goes fucking insane.
Interesting.
Now, in all fairness to that dude, which, it was a different time, and
Right.
obviously, no one should be put anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Right.
People shouldn't be put places like an object.
Yeah.
Let me say that. But if I get super depressed, I want to be left alone in a room.
Yeah.
Like, that 100% helps. Like, if I, I don't have, like, bad people depression, but, like, I'll occasionally be like, uh-oh, here it comes, and I just got to spend a weekend watching Predator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I can't talk to people, I can't go out and do things, like, I just need to be left alone. Like, on one end of the spectrum, I have, like, anxiety, which is just kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like, well, maybe it can be, like, debilitating. But on the other hand, like, depression, like, the problem with my depression is I'm still functional. So, like, I can go out and I just seem like a shithead. Like, it's not so bad that it cripples me like anxiety does, but I just seem like an ass. And, like, I know, like, whenever it hits, like, I can feel it coming. I'm like, I gotta spend, like, 3 days just getting this out of my system.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I go, I turn all the lights off, I just watch movies, and, like, I just have to, like, fight my way through it. And, like, sometimes for me, like, the best way to do that is just doing, like, movie marathons and, like, just being isolated until, like, my chemistry gets right. Because I know it's definitely chemistry. Like, it's not like, oh, things are going bad at work. It'll be like, I'm having a fine time, and then all of a sudden, rain clouds.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody here have any mental illnesses? You? Good. Someone to be on my team.
Clearly.
You have depression?
Yeah. I want to hit you, but I don't like to hit people. And also, last time I hit someone, I broke my hand.
Why do you want to hit him?
Because he said I clearly have mental... whatever you said.
Depression.
Mental illness, I think you said.
Ah.
Clearly...
Well, then go to your room.
I'm just going to go to a room.
Go to your chair!
I'm just going to go
Stay
put
there
myself
like
in
you
the room.
are.
So, like, how do you deal with your depression?
Cuddling.
Oh, I don't want people around me.
No,
Yeah.
I get bad.
Like, with both my depression and my anxiety, I do not like sex when either of them are working.
Oh, no.
Like, any kind of, like, stuff like that. I'm like,
I'm
get the
sorry, I
fuck
said
away from me.
cuddling.
Well,
So-
I was jumping to conclusions.
No, you're jumping to the wrong conclusion.
I want to make a statement that sounds like it's a joke, but it's not. For the last, like, month or so, I've been, like, being a little depressed and feeling really shitty about myself. About every Tuesday night.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I think I know the correlation there.
That's when the Champions Open Mic Night is, and it's not because it's mostly because I think about I should go to the Champions Open Mic because it's an open mic and I should be going there, and then I start thinking about I haven't done shit, and it's just going to be a terrible time, and I'm just terrible for not writing new stuff.
Yeah,
and it hurts,
yeah.
But then at the same time. I know that like Rolls or Erica want to go to that open mic because they're blind fools and they don't know our pain, and so I don't want to not go because I know that they're counting on heading out with me.
Sure.
So then it's a hard time of like I don't want to go but I have to go. And then there was that one week where I was really not feeling it, and I said to Christina who runs it. I told her, listen, I'm here, but don't sign me up, because I just don't feel like it. And she came back to me like 10 minutes later, like, you're up second! And it's like, God damn.
It's tough when you're a comic and things aren't working.
Yeah.
Because comedy, I'm starting to realize, is a lot like heroin. Insofar as you need more laughs to keep feeling okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, once, you can't, like, the laughs that made me happy 6 months ago are the basic minimum. The basic minimum I need to keep going and feeling
so
okay.
Hollow. Yeah.
Like, you need more and more and more of that gratification. You need more and more of it. And I have an addictive personality anyway. Like, and it becomes really sick where I can have a nice set and I walk off and I feel like someone just punched me in the gut.
Yep.
Like, where I'm like, that worked, but not nearly well enough. And you just, because
really? Is that what it is for you?
What?
Like if it's the same stuff you've done over again and it works, but it's not well enough.
Yeah,
that's interesting. For me, it's usually I've done this so many fucking times.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like I need something new.
There's this weird peak point that like I listen for it and I can feel it, and it's 100% an energy.
Yeah.
Where if I don't reach it, and it's literally for me the cadence. The crowd tells me what cadence I have to hit.
All right.
And if I don't feel myself being forced to wait, I know it's not a good night. Like, if I'm getting just, like, reactionary laughs that I don't have to wait out, I don't feel that energy. Like, it's a reverberation.
I can understand that, yeah.
And, like, the other night, like, I had been having this tough fucking time of it, and I got invited out to this awesome little shop called the Discerning Eye Art Center, right? Mm-hmm. Just this little shack where a bunch of hipsters go in Lancaster. And it was like a crowd of maybe 30 people. It was very compact, a small little room, and I was like, oh, here this goes. And like, oh, Christ, for the first time in a long time, I finally fucking killed. And it's just waiting for it, where you have to, the crowd tells you when your next joke starts.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that you have to get now. Like, I remember, like, starting out, like, just getting people to laugh, period, was enough to make me feel good all week.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I need that high-powered stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see someone roll their head back. I want to see someone put their head in their hands. Like, I want to see someone wiping at their eyes. Like, my needs are disgustingly high now for someone who's not funny enough to expect that all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, that kind of performance, I can expect maybe 1 out of 5 shows to be like that, maybe.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
It doesn't happen.
You can get on some shitty streaks.
All right.
Like, I've gotten to the point now where I have 5 minutes and I've got 10 minutes where I'm comfortable going anywhere with it.
Yeah.
But I know it's not 10 minutes that I can rely on or 5 minutes that I can rely on to kill anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that'll just be like, I have a very specific audience that likes me, which is mid-20s, lower middle class white people.
Okay.
Like, hip, smart, skinny jean white people. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a crowd where, like, I look at them and I'm like, tonight's going to be my mental money night. This is when I've got to stock up my bank because every time I'm going to go suck dicks in front of fucking rednecks for $5 and a couple free beers, like, I've got to bank this to use whenever I have to spend that mental money to get over doing C+ or worse somewhere else.
Yep.
Like I did HMAC the other night in front of a crowd of people who, like...
How was that?
It's skewed older because a lot of the comics brought their family.
Oh, okay.
And I started out okay, and I ended okay, but my middle section, like, rang really hollow because I got kind of cruel.
Ah, okay.
Where I had a joke, and you guys have already heard this, where I was just kind of fucking around with it because a lot of times, like, if it's just a general crowd, I have general funny ideas where it's like everybody likes to hear about relationships, everybody likes to hear about like drinking stories.
Yeah.
And I told about the time that my friends took my phone and started texting people mean
Oh
things.
God, yeah.
And I woke up and no one realized it wasn't me. Everybody was like, "Oh, Wes." And like I can remember the line I said, and it was a throw-out line, and this was a big learning experience for me. It's a throw-out line that I can get away with at the Discerning Eye Art Center or some hip place.
All right.
But one of the throw-out lines, like it wasn't even like a tag. I was like, so they were like just throwing out mean things to people, you know, like if you're sober enough to text, you're sober enough to drive, right?
Right.
And I was like, one of them just sent to someone, "I hope your kid's autistic," which don't get me wrong, I think that's a funny line.
It is a funny line.
It's a
just
quick
not
throw-out
everywhere.
line,
Right.
And
It's definitely not.
You
for
could
everybody.
it wouldn't have gotten quieter if I had pulled my penis out. Like I don't know if that hit too close to home for someone, but I felt the crowd go ooh, and I had to fight for the next 5 minutes to get them back. And I felt so shitty about it. But that night actually ended up being kind of special because something I never saw before happened. Have you guys heard about what happened at HMAC, by the way?
No.
The only thing I've sort of pieced together based on what Shane Gillis had said was like there was like one guy who just like wrecked the whole show.
Oh,
way through.
Lennon. Oh, Lennon. You would have,
I haven't heard
as a
any of
connoisseur of bombing, you and I can appreciate this. It was the owner. It was the
God.
owner of the place, and he's this super weird gay British guy who does coke all the time, right? And so like, you come and he's like,
Interesting conversation.
oh, the way, like he's just like this weird guy, and he's always like
God.
pixie fingering, and like the way he talks to Shane is hilarious. Like Shane's like, "Hey, can we get the stage set up?" He's like, "Oh, porcelain doll baby, please set up the stage." Like he's just like this weird guy, right? Just this insane maniac, and he's like, like just doing this shit all the time. And we're like, okay, man, right?
Like Tourette's or something?
And so, like, I go up, like, some rando comic from Philly goes up and does, like, 5 minutes. I go up and do my 10 minutes. I do a C+ set, and I'm like, that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Nate Marshall goes up and actually got over pretty well. They liked him. Like, he did a B+ set. And we're like, all right, the momentum's picking up. The crowd's kind of getting into it. They're loosening up a little bit,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We're kind of jabbing at them until they break down some of those walls.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next guy gets up, and he's just like in the middle of the set, and he's like, "I want to thank John, the owner." And he starts going, "This isn't even that funny!" And we're like, what the fuck? And so like he just starts shouting at random intervals, and he's like, "I like your thin arms, I want to touch them." And like the comic's like, "Oh,
Like
John."
like Joan Rivers on the red carpet.
But like he keeps like he's saying things that you can't fight back against. Like if a normal heckler's like, "You suck," I can work with "you suck."
Yeah.
But he starts saying these insane like things. Like at one point he just goes, "The first blowjob I ever got was from my grandmother." And the comic's just looking at him like,
How do you respond?
and it's the owner, right? So no one can throw him out.
Yeah.
He's just literally shouting from the side of the stage all this wacko stuff. And like they had really good comics on this show,
Yeah.
and he just steamrolled them. He steamrolled every comic who tried to get up, and they were all like exceedingly polite. Where they're like, "That's John, the owner. Please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop yelling during my set."
Yeah.
And he's mean and psychotic. Where he's going, "You haven't gotten a laugh all evening, darling." Like weird, borderline the Joker shit.
Yeah.
And like everybody just had to fight their way through it, and eventually someone called one of the co-owners to drag him out. But by that point, the damage was done, and no one listened to any of the comics.
Man.
So this,
It was a brutal night of
that was
comedy.
the only time he'd ever done that? Or does he do it a lot?
They've done
It was
stuff
the
at HMAC
only.
before.
It was the first time in a long time they've done comedy
Yeah.
at HMAC.
Well, no, I
they
meant
stopped
this-
doing comedy at HMAC when 2nd Street came along.
So that guy only does it when there's comedy, or just happened to do it that
I
particular
think
night?
he must have. I've done comedy at HMAC before, so I think it was the only time I've ever known him to be there. Honestly,
Can I talk a little shit? Can I talk a little shit?
Go right ahead.
This is going to
Big shit if you
deviate
want to.
slightly, but one of my
Nobody's watching this, remember?
Yeah.
one of my favorite HMAC moments. I'll be upfront about this. I don't really enjoy improv at all.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. It's not for me, and I have a lot of very close, cool friends that do improv and shit.
Yes.
But I went to HMAC on like I think it was like Christmas. It was like a holiday where no one should be out.
Yeah.
And this improv troupe was playing, and a friend of mine was in it, and there was like 3 people in the audience. It was me and like someone's friend, and then way in the back there's just like this drunk passed out guy. Don't get me wrong, I was getting passed out too, but I was getting obliterated because I didn't want to be there, and I was just like drinking hot toddies. I was slamming down hot toddies, and like barely staying awake. And like it's near the end of their like little fucking thing, and like they're getting no reaction, but they're being good troopers or whatever. You know, they're fighting through it. Yeah. Everybody's had a night where they have to fight through it,
Right.
but they're doing their shitty little give us a suggestion thing, right? And they're like, can you name something that would be? And this is this moment. I hope it's the last thing I think before I die. Is the guy goes, name something that would be in a drawer, and the drunk in the back goes, you suck. And thinking as fast on his feet as a human possibly can, he goes, new socks, but you can see that it's hit him in his heart, and he's already absorbed you suck, and he has to like think of something that rhymes with you suck, and then in 3 seconds he just goes, alright, new socks, and like he turns around all shaken, he's like, new socks everybody, and they have to like sadly go through their shitty little improv thing, like, and here's the new socks, and the drunk guy's just like, like bellowing, and I was like, oh, this is, it was all the hate, it was all worth it.
We were doing that British gay guy.
Yeah. I feel so blessed that I've never really had to deal with a heckler.
Really?
There was one guy at a show once. It was a terrible night. It was part of 2 nights where I was there Friday night and I was there Saturday night. Friday night was unbelievably terrible. And there was one dude who I couldn't quite hear what he was saying, but I knew he was talking loudly to his friend about how fucking shitty I was. And then eventually I heard him go, this guy's just a fucking Hedberg ripoff, and walked out. Yeah. And that's the only thing I've ever had to deal with. And I felt shitty about that until I went back the next night and fucking brought the house down harder than I ever have in the history of me being on stage. So at that point I said, well, fuck that guy, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I've never really had to deal with stuff like that.
Part of me thinks that God only gives me enough happiness to not kill myself. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever get that feeling where you're like, maybe today's the day, and then you find like a $5, and you're like, well, maybe tomorrow.
Imagine that as a bumper sticker.
I know, right?
God only gives me enough happiness to not die.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this earlier at Sheets, like, Lennon was getting his lottery tickets, and I was like, hope is like oxygen. Like, you need hope to live, but too much hope will kill you too.
Yeah.
Like, with no hope, you'll die. You'll kill yourself. You've got to hope for something. Yeah. But if you just hope, like, sincerely all the time, life will never happen. Like, your hopes will never come true, like 99% of the time. Yeah. And then you'll jump off a bridge. Yeah. So it's a very delicate chemical.
Let me ask you this question. Have you ever done any kind of, like, corporate gig?
No.
Like, any kind of corporate party or anything like that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, like, a company, last year, a company for their Christmas party wanted comedians. And it was me and it was Tom Sanford. And we did, again, they had this big, lavish event where there were probably 75 to 100 people there, and they had us each do 20 minutes. I don't know if this speaks true to every kind of corporate event, but it was soul-sucking.
Really?
Sanford says he cried on the way home. Like, that's how bad we were doing. Like, they didn't give a fuck. They listened. It was all right. There's 2 kinds of bombing, I think. There's the bombing where the audience just talks amongst themselves and just doesn't pay attention. And then there's the worst kind of bombing where they're all just staring at you with the look of, when are you going to do something funny? And that's what 100 people did for 20 minutes.
I have a similar experience of that. When I was in high school, we used to, we had the steel band, where a group of us played steel drums. And we got invited to, what?
Not the same. Not even close.
I know.
Go on, but it's not even close.
I know it's not even close. I've said a similar experience.
Now, I was going to say, now take away the steel drums and everybody but you.
Okay,
that's the most privileged white guy hobby I've ever heard of.
Steel drums?
So I was in a steel drum group, right?
Alright, I won't tell that story then.
Oh, it's terrible.
We're filming this from a gated community. I've never in my life been in a gated community. I am so privileged right now.
This place, I swear, is like the northern version of Florida. It's all racist old people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's very true.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
But I think the show I'm going to tonight is going to be a lot like a corporate gig kind of deal. Like, it might be just somebody's, like, birthday.
Oh, good.
Like some sort of birthday party where they're like, we're all going to go out to this country club, and we're going to get comedians.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
sip
see
our
how that
tea and
goes.
listen to comedians.
I actually did go to a country club once also with 3 comedians, and I was the only one who sucked, and it was damaging.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I did okay, but I mean the other 2 guys did really well, and I was
The only thing worse than bombing is bombing on a good night.
yeah.
Nothing's worse than knowing you're the one who sucked.
yeah.
Because sometimes you'd be like, oh, what a shitty crowd. But if you see people just lighting it up around you and you go up and you're like, whackity schmackity to complete silence, you're like, oh my god, it's me.
I've been
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I've definitely been there.
You know what's really interesting though? Just the other day, I discovered buried within the depths of my computer and the internet was the first set I ever did at the Comedy Zone, like 4
Really?
years ago. And I don't know if it was that night. I don't know if it was the feel of the Comedy Zone in general. I don't know if it was me. I got so many more laughs than I do now.
Oh.
And it's like 75% the same jokes. Like, you got the fucking seedless watermelon thing in there. You got all sorts of shit. And there's like 3 like half applause breaks where like half the crowd is like, "Fuck yeah!" The other one is just
Why
the
do
other
you
half
think
is
that
only
is?
laughing hysterically. So I don't know.
It goes back to
I was.
alchemy.
You wouldn't believe once I watched this back. You wouldn't believe how Mitch Hedberg I was, and I like to think that has a lot to do with it. Also,
Could be. People
It's
like
possible.
what's familiar.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I whenever I think back to how I used to be when I started, I absolutely got like heavy laughter a lot, and it's not as much as it was before. But then again, maybe it's just the fact that I'm kind of like desensitized to
Yeah.
that caliber of.
And you certainly do
humor.
get desensitized.
Yeah.
You most definitely do. Like, the longer I do comedy, like, the longer I have to wait to get a good hit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I know I'm better.
Yeah.
I know I'm better. And I can do really good gigs walking away and just feeling, and this is something like, a larger part of my life is legitimately like, I'm trying to be more positive.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle because being a comedian, it's weird. Like, if you explained, like, to an alien, like, my hobby or my job, depending on how you want to see it, is to try and make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
That alien would, like, assume, like, you must be an insanely happy person. And nothing could be further than the truth.
Right.
Most
That's just
comedians-
comedy in general.
That's
Most
fun,
comedians
yeah.
I know are, like, medically depressed.
Yeah.
And, like, I have to work...
Have you met Brendan Crick?
I have to work to stay positive. I have to be more positive because, like, it can get bogged down. Like, and I've noticed, and even in the comedy I'm writing, like, it's getting more depressing. And like, I made a mental note of the last 2 weeks. Like, I had to go back to early notes, and I was like, I've got to get back to just being happy because at some point, what's been killing me in front of like real crowds, like corporate crowds, like, hey ma, let's go out and have some PBRs at the fucking club down the street crowd.
Yeah.
They don't like depressed people because they're literally like, I spent money to be here and be happy.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear how shitty your life is. Sets I can do that are going to kill with that hip mid-20s crowd that does hate themselves and is confused about life and misery loves company, that stops at about 30. And I can see a crowd, and I like, anytime I go to a gig, I don't have something ready until I get there. Because I don't want to have my material ready until I see who I'm telling it to nowadays. Because I just know there's certain crowds that are going to fucking hate some of my material because it's very self-deprecating. And I've got to find stuff that's more general that can be kind of back to the... Because I do have a big, goofy, like, dumb puppy side of me that I can get over with a general audience. We're like, who doesn't love donuts? And, like, just get all the dummies on board. We can be dummies together. But I also know that kind of shit doesn't necessarily kill with a crowd that's going to love me being like, so who wanted to kill themselves? And they're like, yes, all of us. And it's like, yeah.
Now, once you started saying that, I started thinking to a lot of the comedians I've been listening to lately, like, who I know are kind of depressed like that, who have made it, you know, like Patton Oswalt or people like that, and they don't have any, like, really dark stuff about them. Like, that's probably not a direction that...
You know what? I
be
don't do
going.
comedy myself, obviously, but when Wes and I, other Wes, obviously,
Other Wes, yes.
started dating, he stopped doing comedy because he
was happier.
Because he was happier, and
That's honestly what happened to Aaron Stauffer. Like, we
said-
tell horror stories about how much of a cunt Aaron Stauffer can be. When he started, he was, or like when I started going there, he'd already been doing it for a couple months, or at least when I started showing up and seeing him, and he was very funny. And for the longest time, he was, top 5 of people. And his biggest decline is when he started taking medication for stuff. And it was an immediate,
That's
stock
weird.
market crash. His
believe that
comedy
100%.
died. His comedy just died. He didn't write shit.
Uh-huh.
He became less funny on stage. It was over.
I wonder if that's what it was like when I stopped. Because I stopped after the summer was over. And the only thing I can think of that might have caused that was the fact that I stopped working at this office. In that office, my job involved... Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good. It's just it just does
It just
that.
the computer just fell asleep. But, I was working in this office and I was doing the same thing over and over again all day, so I had a lot of time to think about anything. And
It's nice to have that ability to spend the time to really think about those kind of
Wes
things.
had said
It's good
that
time for material.
even using the same material, not writing new stuff, he just didn't feel funny anymore because he didn't have his heart in it. Like when he was talking about, his one joke is about how his whole life was shit, and he was telling that to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
And I was there for the last time he gave that joke, and it wasn't funny, and I'd heard it once before.
I remember that.
I had heard it once before, and it was funny.
Because, the reason it wasn't funny anymore because it wasn't true.
I think he was smiling through half
And
of
it's
it.
and it's not that's not necessarily the qualifier for it, but it certainly helps.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honesty's part of it. Truth is a lot of it. Like, I think
Justice.
there's a lot of intangibles that people pick up through communication where they can smell out bullshit pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell it right away when a comedian's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go up to someone and be like, so what parts of that were true? Like, I can tell, it doesn't pass the bullshit test. Now, I'll tell you, I'm a bullshitter.
Yeah.
I'm a storyteller. And I use insane amounts of hyperbole.
That's fine.
Which is all fine, but I can't tell a bold-faced lie because I can't sell it. You have to have a kernel of truth there. And if what you're saying has to have a kernel of pain there, you've got to have it. Like, I used to joke where there used to be a part of my joke where I was like, I don't know about terrorists hating my freedom, but I know my grandpa hates my freedom because I've been fucking up my life with it. And I was like, my grandfather by my age had a house and I own one fork. And that was true. And I was like, if you come to my house, you better sharing your soup. And that was 100% true at the time. I just moved into my apartment and I had one fork.
Yep.
And it was something where I don't even tell that joke anymore because I have
You got a
silverware.
second fork, yeah.
And it feels very dishonest.
We've doubled up.
But there's moments in
Someday
time.
we're going to get to that plate.
There's moments in time where you have to tap into that currency where you're like, this is how I'm honestly feeling, and it comes across as real.
Yeah.
There's a couple nights where, and I don't know if you do this, I'm much more of a bullshitter where sometimes I won't prepare any notes and I'll just go up and be like, here's what happened this week.
All right, yeah.
And a joke I'll never retell. Were you there? You were there this past Tuesday, were you?
Yes.
So that was a perfect example of me being like, one of my ex-girlfriends is gay now.
Yeah.
And just me talking about it.
Yeah.
And another one was one time I went to someone else's company party.
Yeah.
And we made out, and I got a boner in my suit, and I rubbed my dick raw on the zipper because I was dry humping, and I was like, baby. I rubbed my dick bloody raw on the zipper, but I was wasted. And I woke up in the morning, it was like that scene from The Godfather where he finds the horse head in his bed, and I was like, whoa! And it was just a mutilated penis, and I couldn't have sex for a week. But that was such a story that it was just I need to tell someone this, and if I can make people laugh, it'll at least have been worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've already told this story on your podcast before, but one time I went drinking with name drop Lemaire Lee, and he went through
LemareLee.com.
yeah, and he went through a DUI checkpoint like right after we were done drinking.
Yeah.
And he texted me the next morning. He's like, I went through a DUI checkpoint. And I was like, I would have never forgiven myself if you would have gotten a DUI.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, don't worry, man. It would have made a great story. And, like, that is the epitome of the sickness that happens when you're a storytelling comic.
Yep.
And, like, I told you this before, too. Like, one night someone was, like, uncomplimentary of you. And you were like, that fucking sucks. Like, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
If that would have happened to me, it would have been a joke the next night.
Yeah.
See, that's why I really want to make a joke out of the Great Cheeseburger Caper, because you heard about that while it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all over now, and everything worked out okay. But it's such a ridiculous story. I love telling it because of just the shit that I had to go through to get that small little problem dealt with, and like all the stuff that I had to, like all the people I had to talk to, and all of the legal trouble that almost happened, and it was just a mess. And yet, it's such a good story because everybody it always has the same reaction when it's like, "What?
Yeah.
Really?"
Yeah.
And it's great.
There's two
are the best
reactions
stories.
to that. There's either that can't possibly be true, or you should totally sue
You
this
sh-
guy.
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
had to give me legal advice, especially Hasiel.
Oh, that was so funny. He's like, listen, you go in there, you don't say a fucking thing.
In all fairness, he had good advice.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
The advice that everybody should always follow is don't talk to cops. Ever.
Yeah.
Don't ever talk to cops.
I kind of had to for my story, but
Yeah.
you know.
Like, cops' job is to put people in jail. Like, it's not to figure out, like, innocent or guilty. Like, they feel like they're doing their job if someone ends up in jail.
Yeah.
And I say that as a middle-class white guy. I'm, like, the most
Yeah.
protected human being. But at the same time, like, well, maybe women have it better. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Some type of
History
white person.
has proven.
Generally,
Yeah.
white
Yes.
people. Generally, white people have it easiest. Like, I'm not even black. I'm not an Arab.
What?
You know what I mean? Like, I know.
Surprise!
I'm hairy enough, you probably can't tell. But, like, I can't imagine being, like, an Arab American and just being like, time to go to the store today. That's not how they talk. I can't do
You
accents.
tried. You gave it your
Bork, 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 bork.
That's Swedish.
Whatever. Bork, 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 a la bork, bork, bork. And just the fear they have to just go to Target at night.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
they could get beat up and then arrested for being beat up.
Yeah.
Like, life is shitty if you're not white. Like, we won the lottery.
That's depressing.
There was what's that comedian? Louis something?
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Louis. Yeah, he had there was something on Imager about how great it is to be white.
Right.
Because you can go back in time at any time.
At any point and be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I just
The
listened to that
future
bit the other
may
day.
be shit.
Yeah.
We may get our
Oh,
heads
we're gonna get hit hard in the near future.
But for now,
Shane Gillis had, and I think he might have taken this from someone, so don't take this as me quoting him and being like, he's the one who said it.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how even though there's a ton of different types of comedian, there's always 3 or 4 comedians who literally create the voice of comedians for the next decade. And you can look at,
Yeah.
like, George Carlin. And, like, Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
And, like, you look at, like, when did they hit their peak of popularity? And
And
then
who's like
listen
them.
to comedians for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And he says, like, even comedians today who don't have sets that are similar to Louis C.K. take from Louis C.K. And he's
Yeah.
like, listen to just the way people use certain words. And, like, I'm as guilty of this as anybody. Is, like, before I ever got into comedy, I would watch his specials on repeat. And I don't think I have anything similar to him in the way of my delivery of jokes. But even in general conversation now, like, the way he says Jesus, like, it's so built into me. Like, that's the funny way to say that
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
And you have 3 or 4 literal, like, non-generic voices of a generation where there's an entire generation of people who say, I think I'd like to be a stand-up comic because of this guy.
Yeah.
And they, from that point on, have some kind of thing in their DNA that they carry with them until those new voices come.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. You know who I think your comedy sounds a lot like to me is Patton Oswalt. Like, I think there's a lot of similar things there
Thank
in
you.
terms of how it's laid out and
Sure.
Yeah.
My big 3 are Louis C.K., Patton Oswalt, and Kyle Kinane.
Yeah.
Like, those are guys I listen to all the time, and I frequently hear, like, oh, that's definitely, like, a Kinane joke, or, like, that's definitely Patton Oswaldy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get Dane Cook because I'm animated.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't take that as anything bad. Like that shitty fuck Alan. Like, were you there the night that he was just being a shitty fuck, like to number one?
You mean
status?
like every time?
No.
When he was going to literally the comics and telling them how to be comics, right? So he went up to me and I was like talking about my set that night, and I was like, I really need, like, I need to work this out. You know, I was like, I know there's a better joke to be had in this concept.
Right.
And he goes, well, you know, maybe if you wrote it down and got rid of the less funny parts of it. And I was like, you fucking cunt. I was like, you little worm. You've been doing comedy for 5 months and you haven't said anything funny yet.
No.
I want to crush you under my boot.
Yeah.
But first off, I say that having said, I don't consider myself a top tier comic, but
But you're better than that guy.
Yeah.
Valak's better than that guy.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing: is he went up to Shane Gillis, right? So who's objectively the best comedian in our group.
Yep.
Fuck you, Shane, if you're listening. Which you're not, but fuck you anyway. Your big dumb baby face. But like he went up to Shane and he was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, you sound a lot like Louis. You sound like a lot like Louis C.K." And Shane was like, "Thanks." And he's like, "Oh, you can work on it," and like walked away.
Wow.
And Shane ruined his life that night on stage. Like it wasn't even jokes. He just went up and he was like, "Know your fucking role." Like just go like murdered him.
I want to see that so badly.
Oh, and then he went up to Christina, who literally used to, like you were talking about corporate gigs.
Yeah,
like she
that's
used
what-
to
that was her
tour
thing, yeah.
corporate gigs. And he goes up to her and he was like, and he was talking about an open mic of all things. This fucking buffoon, and he goes, "That sounded rusty." And she was like, "I'm working on things at an open mic." And he's like, "Yeah, well, work on it."
Open mics are shows to him.
Yeah.
That's the thing that happens when you start like the first couple months, I guess. Maybe until you get a real show, if you want to say that. Where an open mic is your big event. Mm-hmm. And that's the pinnacle right now.
Yeah.
And nothing's better than that. And then you get a show and you go, "Oh, this is shit. Is
Yeah.
what this thing is over here."
That's practice and that's a game.
Yep.
I think it's about time we start wrapping up now.
I think so too.
Did we get anything funny today?
It's been like an hour and a half at least.
I think we did.
Is there an hour of serviceable content from what we've done?
Yeah.
Is there anything
So
you
like
wanted?
this episode, real
It
talking
was a lot.
podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot more like a therapy.
Mine
session.
always end up way too serious.
No,
like I
that's
start out
fine.
like,
I don't mind.
and then I just end up like, I'm so sad.
It's basically the sense that you jump in with our madness, and then you go back to you, and we all go with you.
It's like pouring something to dissolve it in something else. Like first, there's just like a bunch of like random mishmash, and then it just like
it settles.
It settles. Right.
Yeah.
It's like weird porn.
There
The
you go.
balls are back. Is there anything you want to touch on before we finish up? You had notes.
I did, but I got
That ship has sailed.
I got. Well,
Notice how I abandoned the net
neutrality
thing
was the
real
worst
quick.
part
Yeah,
of the day.
I've learned from 3 years of doing this show that you don't force topics.
No,
Like,
yeah.
if there's a pause or a break in conversation, you start something up, and if
Yes.
something comes out of it, you keep going.
Exactly.
But if not, then you drop it.
You abandoned that track. Yes.
But no, doing this show has been awesome, and
Yep.
I'm going to continue doing it, as I say all the time, until nobody else is willing to do the show with me.
Yeah.
So expect this, despite if we get no views.
So enjoy
or
another
listens.
month.
You've got to play Freebird over that as a callback to being the last member of Leonard's Skinhead. I'll do this till the day I die. Fly! Freebird! I'm going to go to the fair. I'm going to go to the wing eating contest. I'm going to go to the pool hall.
It kind of sucks that Wes and or Brendan weren't here, because I kind of wanted to discuss like the favorite moments of the show. Like Lennon, you were the second longest on have
That's
been on
true.
the show.
Yeah.
Anything you want to share?
My favorite moment on the show?
Or anything, like any retrospective.
Well, I gotta say, I really liked how to talk about me.
Well,
Whatever. I really like how I painted Charlie as a very memorable character.
Yes.
Who has lived on for quite some time.
yeah,
in this
even though
circle.
he is long gone.
Even though we wish he was long gone.
Well,
but
long
he's-
gone in the public.
Charlie will
yes.
always live on in this podcast.
Yeah,
and I
as
really
that
like
specific character, he could
Yeah.
lose weight and like grow 6 feet.
Yeah.
And we'd
And
still
we'd still have him as this short, fat, slobby son of a bitch
Yeah.
who hates Obama.
absolutely. Well, yeah, I couldn't tell you my favorite thing I like about this podcast,
Yeah.
but
There's about 110 animations of our favorite things. Honestly.
105.
105.
As of
Close enough,
this
whatever.
week's is called Childhood Pimps and Whores.
Ooh.
And it's about...
That'll be a good one.
It's Kyle's story about how he had 3 third graders competing for his love, and he described what a whore in third grade was like.
That sounds like a good episode.
I'd say my favorite thing, not to be the
Yeah,
sentimental chick here, but is just meeting all you guys.
Aw.
That is pretty.
Because I'm from Lancaster, and if I hadn't met him at college, I would never be here. And all y'all would just be some weird people that occasionally I might see at a comedy show in Lancaster.
I mean, let's face it, Wes is kind of still the weird guy.
Yeah.
Am I among you people? Those are big words.
You're weird among the weirds. So
I
you're
was-
more normal.
I was just telling Lennon this at our last open mic, where it's like all of the comedians definitely, like when you were talking about like a voice of generation, like, but
Yeah.
everybody who stays in a specific area and works with the same comics over and over again starts to share a sound.
Yeah.
And all of you weird Adams County people have the same fucking weirdness about you.
Really?
And like I don't even think you people notice it.
Now, listen,
Well-
you described me as an Adams County comic.
Yes.
Who the fuck else is an Adams County comic?
Big Low, him.
I don't count. He
I
doesn't
don't
count
think
either.
you count. I don't think they count.
Is to take away comic, just your comedy.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
way you think things are funny.
Oh,
like the
okay.
way you deliver things, the way you... Like, I can tell, like, the way you want to finish each other's stories. You're on the same wavelength. Where
Okay.
it's, like, very emotionless, like, borderline autistic humor. We're all like, oh, this is weird because it's random. And it's just like you have the same type of, like, central core of being able to, like, non-verbally get on the same wavelength of comedy.
Cool. Yeah.
I guess I can accept that.
Yeah.
And, like, York would tend to be more straightforward, like, redneck comedy, where it's like, let's talk about beer and chicks.
Yeah.
And, like, Redding would be, like, mean shock comedy, where it's like...
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about Lancaster?
Lancaster is, like, definitely, like, the hipster weird.
Hipster Central.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely
fucking
hipster weird.
Central.
I think Harrisburg is, like, very self-effacing, smart goofballs.
Yeah.
Like, there would be, like, Shane,
Shane,
Mike O'Donnell,
Pascal.
me. Like, that would be the Harrisburg group. And I think they...
Yeah.
And that's not to say, like, that they're necessarily similar comedians in the way they deliver anything.
No, yeah.
So
Like,
what
they
you're
have a very...
saying-
there's just this.
You can
there's
tell-
like this 5%.
Right. That
If
has a
even that,
very...
it's across everybody.
It's a reverberant energy that they
Yeah.
all share just because they work with each other so much.
Yes.
And you, like, hear it and, like, it's like photosynthesis of comedy where you're like, that's funny.
Yeah.
And, like, it goes in you and it'll come out in weird ways through your own comedy.
So what you're saying is Adams County comedy is like the
Apples.
deformed stepchild.
Yeah.
No. I think... I
We're
don't
the
think,
honey boo boo of stand up
Yeah.
comedy.
And
No.
that's okay,
Yeah.
because we would totally accept that. We just want to be noticed.
I don't know that I would. But
Well, I kind of do.
I think it really helps the biodiversity of our comedy scene because, like,
Right.
you guys definitely bring an element of, like, detachment, which allows... But I think...
we're like the
Grasping
hill,
at
we're like the
straws.
hill people that come out to live amongst the normies.
But all good comedy comes from someone saying, I want to think like an alien for a second, right?
Yeah.
Where if you see things normally, you're never going to be funny. If you just accept anything at face value, you'll never be funny.
Absolutely.
And having a degree of detachment helps you be funny. And so, like, I think it's a good scene, and I love the people from here, but it has its very own particular brand of it.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
All right. Well, let's kill this thing then.
All right.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me on,
Thanks
guys.
everybody for 3 years of podcasts. Thanks.
The Poes are back!
Wes, thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate
taking
it, dude.
time out of
Yes.
your busy.
Thank you for filling our West void.
Yeah. Being our substitute Wes. We'll be back next week with another show, hopefully with Erica.
Thank you for taking time
And-
out of looking up weird porn.
Yeah,
to do a
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, what's
What?
this thing?
An Amber? Woo! There you go.
The Amber goes.
I'm going to say it now, off screen. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
I shot myself again.